So I'm here with Jen Bruno. Jen is a former college softball player and DePaul University Hall of Famer. She's been passionate about health and wellness for much of her life and has used that passion to build a personal training and holistic health coaching business. JB Fitness and Nutrition over the last 11 years. She has certifications from the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. I like that place, by the way. Wellcoaches, which is where I'm certified, small world,
Very
and
good.
Institute for Integrative Nutrition and the American Council on Exercise.
Yes.
Everyone deserves to live their healthiest, strongest, and most energetic life and feels grateful to accompany clients on their journeys. So Jen,
Yes.
I have a question for you because looking at your pictures, you're an athlete. Can you just tell us about your athletic journey real quick and what kind of things you've been up to?
Yes, absolutely. So as far as I can remember way back when, even my dad told me when I could walk, I was picking up balls, I was throwing balls, I was swinging bats. So I just always had a proclivity towards sports. I played 3 sports in high school: volleyball, basketball, softball. I liked all sports. So, but I guess my God-given talents, so to speak, were pushing me to softball. So all of it just came naturally. I ended up getting a full scholarship to college to play softball. Additionally, though, I did play basketball for a portion of my first year in college. So I got to do both in college, but a very brief time with basketball. I played softball all 4 years. And when I was done, there were the beginnings of a professional league, but it wasn't paying much, maybe very, very, very little. Like you could no way, shape, or form live on that. So I decided, it's time to enter corporate America. So I used softball to get the education and all the life experiences. And then when I began my work life, I said, I've always played team sports. Let me try an individual sport. You have no one to blame but yourself if things go sideways. So let me, what am I interested in? I like to run. I like to ride my bike. I'm like, let me try triathlons. So one of the things you had asked me, like challenges. So I can tell you right now, when I decided, and I'm always striving for excellence, I'm not doing something just to do it. So I said, okay, I'm going to do triathlons and I'm going to be one of the best, in my age group. And I was like, okay, how am I going to do that when I don't swim? So let me see, how can I get around that? So
you didn't learn swimming until interesting.
Yeah, so I always got out of it in gym class. I just didn't. As a kid, I'd play around with the neighbors in the pool, but I never learned how to swim. I wouldn't die in the pool, but I wasn't thriving. I wasn't, having stroke. So I said, okay, if I'm going to be serious about this triathlon thing, like I need to be proficient. I need to be good at this stuff. So I must have been in my mid-20s, mid to late 20s. And I said, okay, I'm going to learn how to swim properly and I'm going to be good at it. So I started taking swim lessons. Super humbling. And I'm like, how did I get through this far into life? And here I am, like, let's just, do the basic stroke, learn how to breathe. And I'm like, okay. So I just set my mind to that and I got really dedicated to that.
Interesting.
Learned how to swim, got really good at all 3 disciplines in triathlon, and I did well. And I had, a goal for I did it for maybe 4 or 5 years, dedicated, committed. And I said, my goal for every race that I entered was to finish in the top 10 in my age group. I'm like, I don't see any reason why I shouldn't do that. I'm going to train properly. I'm going to recover properly. And so I achieved that. And so I met my goal with that.
Congrats.
So once I was like, okay, I did that for 4 or 5 years. It's hardcore. Like I'm going to bed early. I'm waking up early. I'm training. That's your whole life is that.
This is like a full triathlon where 26 something miles.
Well, I was doing half Ironman. So So you're right. Like the full is 26-mile run, like a marathon. So I'm doing like half. So it's like a 1.2 mile swim, 56-mile bike, and then the 13.1 mile run.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's no joke. Like if you're going to be serious, you need to fully commit to it. So did that. And then when I got done with that, I said, I'm done with that. I accomplished that goal. So what do I want to do now? So I started really lifting weights. And I fell in love with strength training and just functional training in general, like lots of body weight, handling my body weight, pull-ups, push-ups, jumping, plyometrics, just handling your body in space. And I fell in love with that type of training. And then that led me to having lots of people in the gym asking me, oh, are you a trainer? Will you train me? And I'm like, well, I'm not a trainer. And they're like, well, just train me. And I'm like, I feel funny about this. Like, I'm not, equipped or certified to do this. So so many people were asking me, a lot of females, where the buildings where I lived and the gyms or just the gym in the neighborhood. And I said, so many people are asking me this. Maybe they're onto something that I haven't even considered. Maybe I need to become a trainer. So then that's how I became certified in training, continued to develop my own self and mind, body, spirit.
So on this athletic journey, just curious, you mentioned the challenge of swimming.
Yes.
Would you consider that your biggest challenge in the athletic journey you've had to overcome?
Yes, absolutely. Because we all just play to our strengths, right? We do things we're good at because it makes us feel confident and good and we're proud of ourselves. So we just kind of stay in that lane and groove that path. And it's humbling to go tackle something you're really not good at. And on a daily basis, that was just in my face going to swim practice. You're not good. You're like the weakest link in the pool.
Like when you first hopped in, it was like doggy paddle and
just trying not to drown and die. And it's like, okay, you're never going to compete in a race that way. So yes, that was the biggest challenge is facing something that you're not good at.
How did you become a better swimmer? Like, can you zoom into like little details? Like you jumped in the pool every morning. How did you overcome that fear of drowning, let alone becoming, top 10 in your age group for swimming or for the whole thing. But
so I had friends that I went along with and they were really good. Like some of them, this was their strong suit. Either they had swam in college or, just been diligent and competitive their whole life and pretty much, aced that part of the thing. They know how to do the strokes. They know how to breathe. And they're really proficient. So I would go with them and I would ask questions. Like I was a big listener and I was a big visual. Let me see what people are doing. So if I see someone doing something properly, which I think this is good for everybody, like watch someone do something properly and try to emulate it and see how that feels in your body. So I would watch them and I would ask questions and I also had a coach. So between all this input, I couldn't help but over time, if you just stick with it long enough, you will absorb that and you will embody it and it will become part of you.
And what about the fear? Because fear, the fear of drowning, or just, it could be anyone on a health journey is going to have, some fear of whatever.
Okay. So this is where you have comrades. Okay. This is where you have allies with you. So I'll tell you when I literally felt like I could drown was the first time I did an open water swim in Lake Michigan here in Chicago.
Oh,
now, mind you, we're going at 5 a.m. when it might not be fully, the sun's not fully up. So, and people are not out. So I went with a friend every morning and I wore a wetsuit. So I wanted to at least be a little bit buoyant and give myself a chance. So I went with her and I said, listen, this is very uncomfortable for me. I mean, there's no lifeguards. There's nobody. There might be some cyclists. There might be some people walking. The first time I got in there, I was like, okay, I can do this. I've been swimming in the pool. No biggie. I get in there And now this is vast. Like, I know you have the ocean there, but imagine like, this is like our version of an ocean. So
those lakes are big.
Yeah, it's big. So I get in there and she takes off. My friend takes off because she's really a great swimmer. And I'm like, hold up. I get in there and I'm like bobbing around a little bit. I'm just like surveying the scene. And I'm like, nobody's going to know if I just slip under right now. Like, nobody's going to know. Like, I was terrified. So I'm like, okay, breathe. First thing, just breathe. Like, just breathe. Calm yourself. Okay. Then I start like just going through methodically the checklist of why and how I should be able to succeed. Okay. So for people that are fearful of tackling anything, there are times in your past where you have succeeded. You really need to pull those from your mental Rolodex, how and why you succeeded. And just go so systematically. I said, okay, I know the strokes. Just breathe. My friend is here. She is looking out for me, even though she's kind of taken off on her own little, lap there. And so I just said, it's going to be okay. And if I'm not feeling like it's okay, just start bobbing and treading the water. So whether you're literally treading water or metaphorically treading water and you need to take a pause, you do that. But you keep going back to those past successes of you succeeding at something. And you did do that.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Get that reassurance, that confidence back, that, to not get that fear, changes your whole vision. I can't swim. I can't do it. Oh my God. Right. It tenses you up and everything. I had a question about, on this athletic journey, you've described some challenges. What about a loss?
Yeah.
You ever in an important softball game and you had the game-winning pitch, it was a tie game, bottom of the ninth, and you threw it and they hit a home run and they won the championship or anything like that?
Well, I'll say it's a team thing because I think that every experience, whether it's a loss or a tie, I think it's all part of making you who you are and bring you to where you need to be and where you are. So I don't even look at it like that. As like a personal thing. I like, honestly, I'm not trying
losses don't like hit you that hard.
I don't even recall them. So
that reminds me in wrestling. I used to wrestle, and back in wrestling, I struggled with eating. That's kind of why I got into this whole eating thing. I'd lose weight, I'd gain it back, and that. But in the wrestling, I remember I never got that upset if I lost. There were other people that, they go home, the locker room, they punch the locker, they break their hand. They're so mad that they lost. But other people were able to, like me, maybe stay a little bit more calm and just learn from it. And that seems like more like you.
Yeah. I mean, so personally, I'm sure there are times when I struck out. I'm sure there's times, I played shortstop that I made a bad error. But over just the course of my life as an athlete, I always looked at the bigger picture of like, I succeeded, let's say 9 times and failed the 1. So why am I focusing on the 1? I'm focused on the 9. And I keep focusing on the 9. So not to say that you don't learn from your mistakes, but like you can't get mired in them. But I will tell you one thing that still to this day that I wish would have, and I had assumed would turn differently. So my senior year in college, we were an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament for softball. And it was the first time that my school ever made it. Subsequent years after I left, they went to like 3 or 4 college World Series, and only 8 teams in the country make that. So, but this was the beginning of like this long string of huge success for a softball program. But this was all new to us, but we were really good, but it was new to us. So we're like, this is our first time in, the school's never been in, and we're kind of favored to do really well. So we go in and we're like, there's no reason we shouldn't be moving on to the next, after this little weekend tournament to the next. And we encounter a local team, University of Illinois at Chicago. And we're like, we've beaten them through the season. I don't know if we underestimated them, but because I never really talk to, my teammates, like, cognitively speaking, like, what happened here? We just kind of were like, what? We don't know what happened, but we lost. And we're like, what? And so we were punching our ticket. We were like, we're going to take care of this and move on. And we didn't. And they did. And they went to the College World Series. And I'm like, that, I just was like, that should have been us. And I always remember that, like, that should have been us.
Yeah.
And so, I mostly just remember the positives and all the great memories and the successes and the, little things here and there. I don't dwell on like that type of stuff, the failures or the woulda, coulda, shoulda. But that is one I do, because I was like, wow, we had it right in front of us. It's like your destiny is in your hands. Like, you just need to handle your business, and we didn't handle it. So that's a loss. I would put that in a loss category, like something that slips through your hands.
Yeah. That's a tough one to learn from too. Were you able to bounce back or take anything away from that? I know it was more of a team thing, but
yeah. You know what? I definitely, on a personal level, I'm like, I go into it, you can't take anybody lightly. And the competitor in me, so to speak, is like, crush everything and everyone. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, don't get complacent. Don't go halfway. You treat everyone as if they are equal or better, and they could come and snatch it all from you. So that's like, always be on your game, like, you top of your game, like detail, everything's buttoned up. Every detail is, accounted for. And so I think that it just makes you very vigilant and just sharper, I think.
I love it. Yeah. And speaking of like motivation and everything like that, you have an Instagram page, which you post a lot of great photos to. Yes. And I have some of those photos. Yes. I'm wondering if I could share with you some photos, and I got 4 right now. Yes. And that you could just, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. So if you're listening on the podcast, what I'll do is I'll give a little description of the picture, and then Jen will tell us a little bit about the picture, maybe a story behind it, what was going through her head when she posted it.
Yes.
Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. So I'm going to share. We got, I believe this is it right here. Boom. Do you see that?
I don't see it yet. Oh, yes. Okay. So
Jen is flexing, and we can see her back. Yeah.
So I bet you that was a Flex Friday. Was that a Flex Friday?
I'm not sure.
Because I love Flex Friday. So I'm sure that was a Flex Friday. And, I think sometimes you just need to step back and say, I'm putting in good work. Like, just take a look at your body of work and the improvements you've made and the accomplishments that you've achieved, and have a little celebration. So for Flex Friday, I like to post some of the pictures, like physique pictures, but also on a trainer level, I love to work with clients on the back side of their body. Because we, as a society, I think we get so caught up in what we see in the mirror, which is usually everything on the front. We want the shoulders, we want the pecs, we want the biceps, we want the abs, and we neglect the whole back chain of our body, which supports posture and keeping us walking upright and keeping us out of pain. And so that's also a tribute to that. It's like, hey, don't forget the muscles you can't see in the mirror.
And if a woman wanted to build muscle, because you got tone here, you got muscle here.
Yeah.
What would you say to her? What if she came to you and said, I'm afraid about getting too buff? I'm sure you've heard that before.
That's not going to happen.
Okay,
unless she's taking some sort of testosterone and steroids or, something that will, and there's no way. So what you're going to do is you're going to exchange that fat tissue for lean muscle tissue. And everyone should have more of that. So I would not worry at all about the fear of that. As many of my colleagues will post, women shouldn't be afraid of, lifting weights and getting too big. Just like you shouldn't be afraid of driving a car and all of a sudden you're going to become an Indy 500 racer. Like that's not how it's going to go. So what you're going to do is you're going to change the composition of your body, and you're probably going to feel better and have less impact on your joints, and your clothes are going to fit better. So like that, I wouldn't even worry that you're going to get bulky. I would worry that you're going to, and not even worry, I would be looking forward to the fact that you're going to feel better and you're going to move better. So, and as far as building that muscle, that lean muscle, you just have to be consistent. You can't, just like one salad a week isn't going to make you healthy. Lifting one day a week isn't going to do it. You got to be consistent each week, and then consistent week to week to week, year to year to year. So it's just putting in that work.
Yeah.
So, like the first podcast you did, you probably are like, you're not going to be cash it in and say, I'm good, I'm done. You got to keep going, and you get better and better and better, and you get consistent and more comfortable, and you master it.
I love what you said about the year to year to year. That's the mentality. It's not this like, in 3 months or 6 months, I'm going to have these really shaped shoulders and everything. All right. I'm going to see if I can switch photos.
Okay.
Now I might need to just let me know if you see this one.
Okay.
I think I might need to switch it on Zoom. 1 sec.
Okay.
Do you see this, the one with Simon Sinek? New share. No, not yet. Okay. Here we go. Right now.
Okay. Yes.
So the quote is, working hard for something we don't care about is called stress. Working hard for something we love is called passion. I like it. I like Simon Sinek. Read his book, something about why. I'm blanking on the title right now, but I remember his TED Talk.
He's got a bunch
Why Great Leaders Are Great, or something like that.
Let's see. He's got a bunch of great stuff. Start with why.
Start with why. That was the one.
Leaders eat last. That's another.
Leaders eat last. So you posted this, and this is probably a life philosophy of yours.
Yeah, most definitely. So I work with a lot of people. I'm basically like a social anthropologist is how I feel I move through my career in life. And I just like to observe people. I listen, I retain things, I observe. And I have a lot of clients who have a lot of stress, and it's not good stress. So, there's good stress and there's bad stress. We need some amount of stress just to get us out of bed and to go through our day. Now, what you do with that day and how you feel throughout that day, each day and week to week, that quality of that stress is what determines the difference between, what this quote is saying. So if you have something passionate, that's going to fuel you and give you that great energy to propel you. If you're doing something you hate and you don't care about, you're darn sure you're going to feel really burdened and overwhelmed and overworked and underappreciated. And it's just going to be a totally different mindset. So I feel like,
So what about when you were hopping in the pool thinking you might die at 5 a.m. in the morning, there's no sunlight.
Yeah.
You're telling me you loved that?
No.
So how do you stay motivated throughout that?
So that's a great question.
Nice.
That is when you need to see the forest from the trees. Okay. So I'm doing this thing, and I'll tell you, I took a workshop on a weekend in January in Chicago, and I'm not lying about it.
God.
The pool heater was broken.
Oh my God.
Okay. And I mean, I'm not even, this is not even embellishing. That was the worst, one of the physically worst, most uncomfortable times of my whole life, because I didn't have a lot of body fat to begin with. So I didn't have like a lot of warmth, with body fat. So imagine, I mean, I was in the locker room under the hot shower for a good portion of this workshop. I'm like, I'm not getting better because I'm not in the pool swimming. I'm in this shower because the heater was broken. But I finally was like, okay, I need to get my head right. I need to get in that pool, even though it's freezing. So what I did was I said, okay, this is a means towards something bigger. This is going to help me swim better. This is going to help me race better. This is going to help me reach my goals. The goal was not to just be there and whatever. It was to utilize that as a tool and as a stepping stone. So that stress, it was a bad stress. I wasn't happy. It was a miserable, physically miserable stress. But when it's part of your path, you kind of just need to take some of this. So you're not always going to want to go to the gym, especially when you're just starting out and maybe you're not feeling comfortable and you're feeling awkward, or you feel like everyone's watching you and you don't feel proficient. It's a means to your bigger goal. So you just got to roll with some of these and just show up. Just show up. Just do it.
I'm wondering if you have any words of wisdom. There's a balance, it seems like, between pushing yourself too hard. Like, let's say you're going to the gym and let's say you're new to the gym. There's a balance between pushing yourself too hard out of your uncomfort zone. And maybe there's some of that you just got to tolerate. But yeah. I feel like if you are always pushing yourself too hard, you're going to burn out and you'll this is too hard. It's not for me. I gave it a go. It's making me miserable. I'm going to quit. I know I should go, but it's just too hard.
Absolutely.
Is there any sort of way or wisdom you could give, advice you can give for someone who's wondering how hard they should push themselves? Should it be more just small steps, a little bit outside your comfort zone?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I what you just said, a little bit. So say you never go. I would not recommend that you go there tomorrow and go 100 miles an hour. I would go, show up, do a little bit. It's almost like the saying, live to fight another day. So don't use it all up in the first day. Maybe you use 20% of what you think you can do. Maybe you do 30 or 40 and you're like, okay, what I want for people is for them to go do something physical and feel better off than when they started. As a rule of thumb, if you're feeling like crap after every time you do something physical, something is wrong.
Yeah.
Either you're doing too much, you're not doing something that your body is liking. You haven't figured it out yet. So don't give up, but let's rewind the tape and let's see what you're doing. And let's go in a different direction. And then that also helps when you have a coach or a trainer that you can bounce that off of, and then they can help, re-guide the whole process. But as a rule of thumb, start really small and then add a little bit, then add a little bit. And that doesn't need to be, if you're making a graph of this, it doesn't need to be this ladder all the way, up. You're going to have zigs and zags. One day you'll go, you feel really great, you go super hard. And then the next day, I'm not really feeling it. And you go down to half speed. No problem. It's the totality of you consistently showing up.
Mm-hmm.
So after a year, these ebbs and flows don't matter, because from starting point from day one to day 365 is going to be a massive change and improvement in how you feel about yourself, your confidence, your level of feeling how strongly you feel you can accomplish something. And
totally.
something. Yeah.
Okay. Next photo. Let's see here. We are going to do this one.
Okay. Yeah. So this was fun. Okay. So this was just last month in November. I paid a visit to my buddy, Marlon Byrd. He's a former Major League Baseball player. I think he did 18 or 20 seasons in the major leagues.
Wow.
And he's now a trainer. So basically I'm one of these weird types that like to go on vacation and link up with other, colleagues and do different workouts that I've never tried. So like most people just go on vacation and ditch the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let me get more. Like, let me get, exposure to different training methodologies like this one here with Marlon. It's called the WEC method.
Interesting.
I've been observing it from a distance, and I said, let me see how that feels in my body. Because, it's one thing for all of us to read something and look at it, but it's a whole nother thing to like experience it, viscerally in your body. And so I think we should all do that. You see somebody, somebody's doing that. I'm watching somebody do that. You should go try it. You should go try it. So I went there, I tried it. I was like, this doesn't look like it should be that arduous. And it really, really is, because we all have tightness in our bodies.
What do you do? It looks like I see a band.
Yeah. So there's a, like, I'll just summarize. It's very complex. Sure. And I can't even tell you that I understand the whole thing, but it's a coiling method where you're tapping into musculature and torsion in your body that you probably wouldn't on a regular basis. So like I was telling you earlier, we play to our strengths. We train to our strengths. Like, we're going to use muscles that are strong. We're going to move in ways that we feel strongly. He got me into different torquing mechanics and rotational mechanics that I was not strong in. And it taps into your weak links so that you can bring those up to speed and become stronger.
Interesting.
So basically, the coiling is like there's this untapped power and ease of movement in your body that allows you to initiate.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was super cool. I'm glad I did it. He's a master. I'm a total novice.
I can imagine for baseball, you got to rotate so much. Yeah. Okay. Last photo here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if anything, what this podcast is about is really, a food addict's guide to managing emotional eating.
Yeah.
When food is a drug. What is this book? Kristen Jones?
Okay. So I'm an avid reader. I'm a learner. I always want to get better at my craft. And I'm really passionate about the psychology of eating and coaching clients on emotional and binge eating issues and helping them, analyze or just recognize their blind spots. So any book like this that's related to that topic, I'm gonna take a crack at. So this is just my, and I share this stuff because maybe other people are interested in this topic too. So like I try to post all the books that I'm reading, whether in my story or on my page. And a lot of times these books are written by former emotional eating people, people who have struggled with it. So you're getting firsthand accounts. So just real interesting stuff. So I always want to learn. Maybe there's one thing I don't know. Like there's one way to relate.
Yeah. I remember one of the things that got me into the more of the emotional side of food was because I was a personal trainer at a gym, and people would say things to me that just didn't seem right to me. Maybe like man, I ate good during the week, but then I lost it during the weekend and I was bad. I felt so bad. And I could hear I'm like, that doesn't seem right. That's not how I gained weight. I mean, because I used to be very underweight. That's not how things were off.
Yeah.
It kind of just reminded me of those wrestling days. And it was like, I wasn't really familiar with eating disorders at that point and disordered eating. But these were like kind of conversations I'd have, things where someone would be really, really committed to a goal. I want to lose weight. I want to lose it for this reason because I have kids and I want to be there for them and I want to be healthy. And then they're not eating right. And it's like, what's going on here? Like, what's going on? When you talk with clients about that, what are some training principles? What are some tips you kind of give them? I mean, this is a whole topic in and of itself.
Yeah,
So we'll try to keep it, what are some principles that you kind of bring to those conversations about managing emotional eating?
Well, okay, generally speaking, we want to start out with awareness. Okay, so if they're struggling with this, I'm just going to be very general with you. I'm not going to,
Sure.
I've had a lot of clients and I have great stories of revelations, but I want to, keep their privacy,
Sure.
I want to honor that. But generally speaking, the first step is if you're struggling with this, it might very typically occur at the same time every day. So say, Jared, you're like, man, every night at, 7:00, I, raid the fridge. Then we peel back the onion on that. Like, well, what happens every night? And you might not have ever even thought about what leads up to that, because you're blocking that stuff out, because your end goal is to get to that fridge. So you may say, well, X, Y, and Z happens and I get a little bit lonely, or I get a little bit, feel isolated or a little bit bored. So then we're going to look at how we can fix those things. Like, how can we make those things better so that you don't need that?
Gotcha.
And then we look at, ways of this happens with a lot of people. I would say most people, where it's a punitive thing. Food is there's punishment tied to food.
Yeah.
And I really, really don't like that. I really dislike that. We've demonized food. We need food to survive. Like, we don't demonize water. We need water to survive. We don't say, oh, I don't deserve water today. Like, I drank too much water yesterday. Like, so I don't know how this has happened, but this punitive belief system around food.
Yeah.
And that there's certain foods that you can't have, you don't deserve to have, or they're bad, or they're this, or they're that. And I just don't believe that. And so I try to help clients get out of that mindset. Like, do you love chocolate caramels? Oh, I love them so much, but I can't have them. Why can't you have them? Why can't you have one every night after dinner? Instead of saying for the next month you can't have them, and then when you just can't say no anymore, you have 20. Like, why, in one sitting? Like, why? So it's almost like you give them permission to reevaluate their relationship in these false belief systems that somehow we've either picked up from family, friends, media, the world around us. And so, there's not one thing to do to eradicate that or switch your mindset. But I just heard something recently that was very new to me. And they said, we can't get rid of bad habits because once we've developed them, they're in us. It's almost like they're like part of us. However, you make new habits and they almost like layer over those. Almost like, oh, I don't like this paint on the wall. I don't know why I painted this room pink. I want to paint it like, white. So you're going to paint over that. So that's kind of like the habit is like you had this bad habit. Okay, fine. We're going to layer a new habit onto it. And we're going to keep engaging in that new habit long enough where it just becomes, you don't even notice the color that was underneath it.
Yeah. And coming into a culture and stuff like this, you've been a part of various college teams and various team things. I'm wondering, I'm asking about women and body image.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a lot of pressure on women to look a certain way. And you and your Instagram have taken a kind of a bold stance, a courageous stance, showing muscular development. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, like, if there was maybe in college, women felt pressure to look a certain way. And when you got into weightlifting, if you see yourself as a role model to be in the gym, or if you see yourself as a type of role model to it or anything like that in terms of fitness.
I would love to be. I would be honored to be. I played with some teammates that had eating disorders, bulimia mostly.
Yeah.
And I later learned that they had boyfriends that pressured them to look a certain way. So they had this pressure to be certain size, certain weight. So they had this going on, unfortunately. And I mean, when you're young and impressionable, it's just an unfortunate situation. So here's my take on it. I started lifting weights to feel strong. You know, I want to feel strong. I want to feel good. You know, when you move your body, you get those good chemicals, those good endorphins and the good hormones, and you feel good. So you do more of it. And you keep getting that reinforcement. So you do more of it. And my whole stance has been, we are all gifted with our genetics. And that's pretty much what you're working with. So there's a lot of stuff you can't change. However, just go train. Just, you know, do things that feel good and that are beneficial for you, and let the chips fall where they fall. So like, you know, your physique is going to be, you know, in your family, there's probably, you know, you guys have a build. Like in my family, there's a build. Like everybody's genetics, there's like you're gifted with that frame. However, you can certainly max out your genetics and your potential and see where that takes you. So that's kind of where I started. Like I you know, it takes a long time, but I've been lifting weights for, gosh, like 25 years. So, you know, the changes happen, but then you can refine them and even, you know, create even more gains, so to speak, over the years if you stay consistent. So my whole thing is like, you know, I could say, oh, wow, I wish, and I don't do this but I see a lot of people around me do, oh, I wish that my legs looked a certain way, or I wish this looked a certain way. And I never fell for that, because I'm like, these are my genetics. I'm going to max out my potential. Whatever my potential is, if I've worked hard enough and I've been committed to it, that's all I can ask for. I can't, you know, wish and hope on a star. Like, do your work. I love it. So that's the difference. It's not an arduous thing. It's like, I enjoy it. I enjoy being in the gym. I'm not just there to like see how my body can change. I'm first and foremost there to feel good. And it's like my mental health, you know, place. Like, keeps me sane, keeps me feeling good. The chips fall where they fall. The byproduct is you can feel better, you can look better. You know, those are like the byproducts of you doing something first for, you know, internal confidence and health. Yeah. And then the aesthetics you can be you know, garnered with from all that work.
Yeah, I feel like the growing movement of health at every size recognizes that you can be healthy even if you're a bigger size, and that the priority or the emphasis is doing things because they make you feel good, doing things to be healthy, not, you know, if you don't end up looking a certain way or whatever, if your weight doesn't go down, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean you did anything bad, and it can be tough to what do they say, put weight loss on the back burner, or to put the body image on the back burner, and to instead focus on these internal qualities like confidence and how you feel. Any words of wisdom for someone struggling to put, we'll say, external qualities, the body image and stuff, on the back burner, who struggle? They hear this stuff, they want to do it for the energy, they want to do it for the confidence and all these things, but when they go to the gym, they get in their head, they get self-conscious. What do you, any thoughts there? Live in the moment.
Be in the moment. So, and I'm telling you, I've seen it. I've been training for 11 years. I've been training clients. I've seen this all the time. It starts internally, right? Like you're saying, you know, you go for this internal reason, but you really want the external. Sure. And 100% of the time, it becomes, you get the external, but you can't put the cart before the horse. So you start with this internal, I'm doing this for my health. I'm doing this to build some self-confidence and self-esteem, or, you know, autonomy, whatever, and get momentum. And before you know it, I see it all the time. It becomes external, but you have to start, you got to start first. It's almost like you can't go from step 1 to 9 to 2 to 5. You got to go 1 to 2 to 3. And sorry, unfortunately, that's how it goes. So just start there. You're not going to be in these early stages forever. Like, these could be quick stages, but you're going to get that other stuff you want if you stick with the steps and the process. Just stay with trust the process. Trust the process. You can be frustrated with it, but you always got to come back to, this is where I need to be right now. And I will get to where I want to be, but for right now, I need to be right here. And then to peel that further back, you got to look for little wins every day. So you can't go through this feeling like crap about yourself. You can say, okay, I went today. Wow. And I was there for 25 minutes and I was only there for 15 the other day. Wow. That's a win. Because you're not going to get all this. This isn't going to change overnight. I mean, a lot of people haven't even given two craps about this for 20 years. And they think in 2 weeks, it's all going to reverse itself. Yeah. Right? So it's a process. You have to find the little wins every day along the way. It'll keep you going. And before you know it, you're going to forget all those hard steps because you're going to be at this little goal you had, whether it's to fit in I have a client that fits in clothes now after 3 months. She's like, oh, I fit in this stuff I haven't fit in 15 years. Beautiful. 3 months. She forgets the 3 months because now all of a sudden it happened. In her mind, it happened overnight. But it took 3 months. Yeah. But she's happy. Like, she's happy she didn't stop.
Yeah. Kind of wrapping up here. Yeah. Where can people reach you? What kind of projects you got going on? What are you up to?
So on my Instagram, I do a lot on Instagram. And
what's your Instagram handle?
So it's J Bruno Fitness.
I'm
sorry. Jen Bruno Fitness.
Jen, Jenbruno.
Yeah, Jenbruno Fitness. That's my handle on Instagram. They can email me at jenbruno5, the number 5, at me.com. And I have a website, jbrunofitness.com. So, yeah, I mean, I just love to hear from people. So, and I like to connect. So that I don't have any specific projects going on right now. Sure. But I'm certainly open to, taking on new coaching clients or, just inspiring people in whatever ways I can. I just like to help people. Got you.
And then last question, I always end with like, what's your biggest enlightenment moment? Enlightenment meaning like a light bulb moment, like, oh, the way I was seeing reality beforehand was wrong. Or it's like I was looking into a dark room and now I turned on the light switch and I realized, oh, that's the way things are. And I'm changing my behavior as a result of it. What's one of them? Or more? One or more?
I'll tell you that they tie together, and this is a lot. This goes out to a lot of the females out there. When I was younger, I thought, don't eat that much, and I'll lose weight. Don't eat that much, and exercise like a crazy person. So less food, a lot more exercise when I was in my 20s, and I would run myself into the ground. When I flipped that, and I ate more, and I ate better quality food, and I took more rest days and I took more recovery, my body completely changed. So I literally did the opposite of what I believed was going to get me there, and it wasn't. And I'm like, why is nothing changing? And so I would say you need to eat quality, good foods. Your body will give you that feedback and tell you how it feels about that, because you'll know by your energy and all that, feeling grounded in your body. And then you need to take rest days. I see too many people, that probably men too, they go too hard too often, don't take any rest or recovery. Your body never has a chance to take on those changes and, metabolize and assimilate those in your body. So rest and recovery, better nutrition.
I love it.
Yeah.
Jen, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an honor.
Thanks, Jared. This was amazing. Love talking to you, bud.